Hello guys, Cedric again for a new tutorial today. We're going to have a look at recreating a simulation I've done with xparticles recently that has been very surprisingly very popular on the internet, on Instagram. That's going to be this one. You see, I've been on my page where I have only like few thousand, 1,000 follower. I got 23k views on it, and in fact, it's open here. Let's have a look at it here. There's this simulation where the balls are crashing. I'm going to show you on a bigger screen here. I've prepared it for you guys. So where the balls are crashing into some sound and also bouncing into each other. That's the second render that I haven't published yet, that I did as a test for the for this tutorial. And with a little, this is quite high definition, while the other one is a lower definition, but still the effect is quite cool. So basically that's what we will have a look at doing today. With this technique you can also do like this type of render where you can explode things and have the particles still stick together, like if it was sound. Yeah, I've been very happy. Recently, the motion designer community has been reposting my thing, but not only them, like how I see that world also, where I got some views also, and they did too. The all CGI, so it's been very popular, and I'm very happy, and I have had a lot of demand to explain how this works. So let's dive in and have a look at how we can make it happen. All right, here we are. Let's go inside Cinema 4D. All right, so first what we will do is we will create a container that will be our particle container. The particle will be within this volume. They will be emitted there. So that will be our first step, is to do the first cube. I'm going to put a display tag on it so that we see what happens inside. Otherwise it's going to be a little bit annoying. So like this. That's the first thing I wanted to do. The second thing I want to do is create another cube around this one. I'm gonna make it ever so slightly bigger, like this. And why I make it bigger is so that that will be like the collider. So when the particle will be generated, then they will collide against this. It doesn't need to be that tall. By the way, that's drop to floor here. Very useful. Okay, so this one also needs to be on the floor like that. All right, so here we are. We can start emitting some particles. Let's get an XP system. Here is the XP system. You see that I don't like to have the icon in the viewport, so I disabled it by default. All right, so we have our first emitter here, and as I said, we want to emit from the lower box here. So let's go and use an object and drop our first cube. That was the first we've made, and all the rest we don't really care, because we will emit on a different thing here that's called hexagonal. And the hexagonal, you will see what it does basically. But before I click play, what we need to do is take off any speed. We don't want to have any speed happening on these, and give them, we don't want to emit everywhere, we want to emit only on the first frame. All right, so if I click here, you can see it generates a grid, and it doesn't look good yet, but let's have a look at what we can do to arrange this. Let's go to display. We will put them into circle field, sorry. That will give us this, and if we go in the option here, we can put some ambient occlusion so we actually see the balls. So that's it. So now the particles have been spawned and they fill up my container. Great. What we want to do with this particle, we want them to have some gravity on them, so that they rest within our container here. But obviously now that I've put gravity, if I press play, they will fall off because I haven't yet put a collider tag on here. So let's go to xparticle here on the tag and give them a collider tag. This is a box, and the collision happens inside the box, not outside, so we want to have that inside. I don't want no bounce, but however I want a lot of friction. So let's have a look at what happens when I do that. Now they smash to the floor. It doesn't look like what we want, and the reason why it doesn't look like what we want is because we need to do a couple of things here. First, we will give them these particles. We will give them some. We will go to extended data here, and we will give them some of these extended data. First, we will want them to use rotation, so that when they will be knocked by the balls later, the grain doesn't only flies like this, but it actually rotates, and we're gonna go on tangential or whatever you call it. Then we want to give them some fluid data because we want them to act like a fluid, but we want them to act like a granular, and most of what we're going to do happens here thanks to this this setting here. For granular, what you need is, in that case, we will need a lot of friction, and we will see these two parameters if we need to change them later on. We may want to change them, we may not. Let's have a look at what happens first. Since I've made this, things will change here. I mean, not quite, because I haven't yet done the second thing that I need to do. I need to give them some dynamic, and for that we will use an XP fluid effects. For now we will leave it to default and see what happens here. All right, so that's starting to get a little bit better. They are being bounced around. They are trying to keep some shape here. Well, let's put it a little bit higher on here, and you see the cohesion is stronger when you do this. It's quite nice now, but it's still trying to go a little bit on the side. If I go to high here, they will even get a little bit better. Anyway, that's kind of what we want, but as you can see, it doesn't look like grain at all for now, because that will happen in our emitter. The more we reduce the radius here, the more it will fill up the volume with as many particles as possible without them to collide. Let's have a look at if I put 2, let's say, for now. So obviously I won't be able to give you a lot of details on this tutorial, because the more details, the more time it takes to preview and see what's happened. But you see that they already don't behave exactly the same as they were before. Now that they are more, they kind of rest more here. That's one thing that I've done in my final renders, I've generally got to accurate, really properly accurate. And for my last render, I even did accurate collision, but I don't know if it changed anything, but I did press it before rendering before caching my last simulation. I was not sure if it actually changed anything. All right, so here we have the first part of our thing. We have our container filled up with balls. What I do also, I do add a little bit of drag in here, and I'm gonna go back to 3 for now, here on my thing, so that we see a little bit quicker what happens. And the drag keeps them more together, and also when they will knock, it kind of gives like an effect of almost of slow motion of the grain, and I liked it. So that's some parameters that you will be able to play with later on when you will do your own animation. Now that's for the first part of our things. The second part will be to have some balls flying off and knocking this surface and making like and react with it. So let's work on this. While I'm working on this, I'm going to go actually and remove this one. And what we will need first is a new emitter. So let's go to emitter, create an emitter. This emitter, I will want it to emit on the plus X, so that I see the coming from the left to the right. I will not need a lot of them, let's say like 3 or 4, something like that. And let's display them differently so we see them. Let's give them a different color for now, something like this, and let's see what happens here. All right, so they are being affected by the gravity, and they don't have enough strength, and they also are being affected by the drag, and that's why they really fall. If I was to take off the drag, they will go a tiny bit further, and if I was to take off the gravity, they will not fall at all. So what we will do is we will go to the extended, and they also been affected by the fluid effects, which we don't want. So let's go to the not extended data, but to the modifier, and remove this first of all, and we will also remove the drag. So now they need a bit more speed here, and let's have a look how they behave. Oh, sorry, it's still not working the way I want. So why not? On my modifier, I have excluded the drag, this. There is no reason they will not act a little bit better than this. So let's have a look at why they don't fly off more. I'm on red. I have a lot of speed, so there is no reason that they still don't go. Why not? There is no reason for this. Let me think. The fluid is not. Is that my gravity that is too strong on them? No, normally there is no reason. Without that, they will not fall. So there is no reason. So did I exclude the drag? Where is that modifier? Exclude fluid effects and drag. I'm confused. That should not happen like this. Now they're being born, and they don't even have any speed. Why not? Have they been affected by the? Let's have a look. Okay, I understand what was happening. Let's give them back the gravity and they will be too strong. I believe my emitter was almost out or something. So let's have a look at what happens here. So now they are far too fast, obviously. Let's reduce that speed and see. Yes, something like that. Okay, that's good. That's very good. All right. So now what we want them to do is to react with um, to, to react with our particles that are here. Let's have a look what happens now. Oh, sorry. Here. So that will be slower, but nothing happens really here because they will need to collide with them, and for that we will actually use a generator. So let's generate. Let's make a generator here. Looks like we're gonna take a generator. That's gonna be our emitter 1. That's very good. And it will generate, let's make a sphere, radius the radius we want to reduce it. That sphere, let's put it somewhere where we don't see it because we don't need it for now, and let's put it in our generator. Our generator, we will want to put it into a connect object, because like that on the connect object we can put a collider tag that will make our ball collide with the other particle. However, if I press play now, I think it will get crazy. You see the particles that they behave very weirdly. The reason is on this collider I need to exclude the emitter here. I think now that will fix the problem. You see they start to behave normal again, but they intersect, and that's not what we want. We want them to knock. So for that we need to add a bit more of the dynamic, and that's just a collision. We will leave it default for now and see what happens, and when they knock they will start to interact with each other, which is good. That's what we want. Okay, very good. One is gone out here. That's very nice. All right, so they look a little bit small, and at the moment I believe on my generator the scale is using the particle radius. So if I go here and change the particle radius, that should make them bigger. Okay, and if I put some variation, it will put variation. But then I did that in my render, and I've read some people say, oh, the physics is not very right because some smaller balls are going less far than bigger balls, and they are knocking them with a lot of strength, and normally the bigger ball should have more strength than the smaller ball. So basically, if you want it to look like a little bit like accurate, don't do that, because obviously then you will have some bad critics. If you don't care about it, then that's fine. You can add some random, and because I don't care, I will add some random. No, not so much. Let's do 2, just so that they are a bit different from time. Yeah, that's good. All right, maybe 4 is a bit is a bit many. Now let's have a look at how they react with our particle here. What happens here? Let's have a look at that. So a lot of drag. Okay, so that's not exactly right. The reason why it's not right is because here the particle collision is affecting our emitter here, and we don't want that. We want to exclude this modifier here. So this we want to exclude, and in fact on this one, yeah, I think we're good now. So let's have a look here. That should react differently now, and that's it. It start to have like more interaction with our particle here, and that basically is the effect. What we will do is we will make our ball bigger so that they don't disappear inside these. So for that, you understand that is the radius. It's just about the radius here. Let's do that and add a little bit more, and let's have a look. Or I could also reduce the size of our yeah, let's do that. Let's this cube here, it's 23. I'm gonna reduce it a little bit, and I'm gonna put it back on the floor, and let's see what happens here. We have a little bit less, but you see now it's reacting better. At least we see our ball, and they're really doing something that like we want, and really reacting with and knocking each other, or it should not go through. So what I will do, what I had done in the other one, is I had put a plane, but that was more for the sake of my final render, and I had put it like huge, and I had added a collider tag on it also, so that I think like that there is two collider tags, and they will remain there also. Collider tag, and I had reduced the bounce and put a lot of friction on it, and this one can remain outside. That's good, and I think that will solve some of the problem of the ball going through. Okay, so basically that is the effect. Now of course what you will need to do for your final render is a couple of things. Now we on our fluid effects, we are in accurate, which is good. It's good enough, but we obviously don't have enough definition. So what we would do is go to our emitter and reduce the radius here. Ideally, the smallest as you can. If I do that, that's still big. If I do one, it will start to get long, to get generated, because it will really create plenty, and obviously if you can go even smaller, I don't know, I'm gonna try 0.8 just to see, be a bit cheeky. I hope it's not gonna crash the computer, because there is a chance it can. I didn't save anything here. Hopefully it won't crash the computer, but all right, so now I was playing a little bit with the fire, so I'm going to do two things. I'm going first to save this as a test. We're gonna call it like tutorial, and in here I'm gonna name it tut, and that's it. So at least it's saved, and obviously I'm not gonna start to run the simulation to show you how this will behave, because it would take far too much time. But I will go back to something like, I don't know, 1.8 and have a look how that behaves, and we will have a look. We will let it run. It will be a little bit long before the first ball come here, but not too long. And let's have a look. and we start to have like some more details, and obviously you understand the principle of it. Now that you know that, you can you can go on the parameters. The other parameter that we could have a look at is on our emitter, on the extended data, the fluid data. We haven't had a look at the stability and the cohesion. So I could reduce the stability a little bit so that they keep bigger chunks rather than to break up into so many little balls, so that it's like bigger chunks. That will help with this, especially as you increase your accuracy of your simulation. That will help to get back to the details. You see now they don't fly off as much as they did just before. That's because they're trying to be to keep a bit more together. And also what we could do, if we didn't want them to be so viscous, we could reduce that. And let's have a look at how that will behave. It's coming here, and all what I'm doing now is obviously what you need to do on your own simulation. So you see now it's not as viscous again. It will give a little bit more less stickiness, I guess. You will have to experiment with all these parameters. They are very little parameter. The cohesion, I didn't really play with it. It seems to be okay on the default like this. I didn't need to do anything for my own render. And yeah, and basically that's the trick. I'm not really going to explain you the whole of how to render this, but I do want to give you a few tips. All right, sorry, I've been cut off. So I was telling you I'm not going to explain you the whole of how to render this, but I want to show you few things about it. The first is about caching. When you're happy with your simulation, you need to cache, and for that you need to go to object and then choose other object, and here you have a cache. You choose a place where you want to save your cache, and you click on build cache. So let me reduce this to, I don't know, like a very short one. We're gonna do like 50 frame, and see and just cache 50 frames like that. Build cache. Let's have a look how long it will take. Yeah, you see, like that will be like literally like few minutes, few seconds. Time enough for me to speak about the fact that I'm now using Cycle 4D to render xparticles and other things. It was very hard for me to change. I've always discovered Cinema 4D using Arnold, and I've never used any other renderer but Arnold, and I was very panicked to change. But I must say that I'm really enjoying the Cycle 4D things. So especially with xparticle, but not only. He's got amazing other features, and I'm liking it a lot nowadays. So if I show you anything that I'm going to do today, it will be with Cycle 4D. In fact, maybe I could move to my, it's become my startup now. I'm starting Cinema 4D with Cycle 4D. And I've got two screens, so I've got my material, that's to build my material on my other screen that I keep always like that. It's very convenient to work. Here is my preview window, and at the moment if I click preview, I guess nothing is gonna happen because I have no light and I have nothing, no material also to show on the the particle. However, now that it's been cached, you see that the simulation is running on the real time. So that's good to do some preview caching before starting, because you may not like the speed at which this is going or whatever, and you can do some adjustment and cache again. Let's add a light in this scene. So let's light them using a plane. I'm going to use this plane, moving it up, probably a little bit to the side, and maybe rotate it a little bit, move it more out of my way for now. And on this plane I will need a emissive here material. If I put that on this material and click, we should start to see a little bit nothing here. And the reason why is because I am within my box. I need to exclude these two boxes from my render. I don't want, and also I need to give a material to my let's just put a diffuse material on the particles, obviously, because otherwise we're gonna see nothing. And now if I click that, I start to see something. That's good. That's more like what I wanted here. My emissive is a bit too weak, but you start to see that here we have what we want. So then you choose your camera angle. If this is on your way, what you can do is you can just put a tag on it and remove it from the camera, so that you see it disappear. You don't see it anymore. It's still in your viewport, but you don't see it on the render. I could also have just hidden it, but then I would not be able to move it. Anyway, here we are. If you want to render this like this, well, fine, you can, but you can also with Cycle 4D do more than this. You can, on the emitter, you can put a Cycle 4D instance here, and with this instance tag you can reduce the sphere segment, and you may not want to have like 24 segment per sphere. That's something that you can do. You can also, you have a size multiplier. You can change the size of your spheres, and you can also give some size variation to your spheres. So you can see now it started to look a little bit different, and that's quite cool, and that's happening at render time, which is great. You can also do more than that. If you want, you can use object here, like your own sphere, let's say, or let's I believe that I am at, let's check something. I think my radius is 1.8. So yeah, I have a radius of 1.8 here. So here I will want to put a radius of 1.8 also. I believe I understood that, but I'm not exactly sure. And this, I can now put it into my emitter here. What you can do with that is you can create a material, and object material. Let's do that. Let's give it a different color for now. And this material, you can put it on the sphere, and up here we are. So what you can do with this, which is amazing, and is you can copy the material a few times, change the specular, the color, and maybe the roughness also for for a few of them. Change a little bit here. I'm really doing random things because this is not, I'm not going to render, but it's just to show you. And then you can copy your sphere here like a couple of times and take this material and over this one, over that one. And now we should, if I put these two sphere in here, we're gonna start to have variation in here, and that's invaluable when you want to do like very proper render. You can also change the shape. It doesn't have to be a ball, and what is good is you can reduce the amount of segment here too. Basically you can do a lot, and that's great. And that's it. Now we are having almost a real time here, and let's see what happens on here straight away. And that's great. So that's for the cycle for the things. I'm not exactly sure what else I could tell you about this, because as I said, I didn't really want to go into rendering the things. You will do your own things. I'm very eager to see what you guys are going to do. Going back to who I am, it's Cedric Fanja. I do some tutorials, not a lot, but some. The last one I had done was about the elephant advection surface, where I show you how to advect particle on an elephant and create this type of crazy effects here, and that was very popular too, by the way. So you'll find me. I will put this tutorial that now on my Instagram, on the link here. You can find me on my YouTube, on my Instagram, and I'd be very happy to see what you're going to come up with, what render you're going to do with this technique. Please share, and hope to see you or hear from you very soon. All right, hope you had a good that you will like this tutorial, and that you had a good time with me, and see you soon. Bye bye.